Portman of Ohio, what he makes of all of this. If he's right, I have no reason to doubt him, Senator. There's a lot more spending coming down the pike. I mean, just at face value, a $2.5 trillion infrastructure package, would you be for that?
Well, it depends. Is it paid for? And does it have public-private partnership money in it? And, you know, what kind of infrastructure are we talking about? If it's a way to disguise a Democratic wish list on, you know, green energy and not really to build roads and bridges and expand broadband, then it's not going to help much. So it depends what's in it, Neil. My concern actually goes beyond that. There are a lot of concerns today, aren't there? My concern is it's going to include tax increases. When you look at this COVID-19 package, it was not targeted. It's $1.9 trillion, $1,900 billion. We could have done it for far less than half that and still had the same effect on COVID-19. You know, more than half of this money isn't even spent during this calendar year. Nobody expects a year from now we're going to be in this crisis the way we are now. But within it are hidden some tax increases. You know, there are 3 or 4 tax increases. This time, not significant numbers in terms of the amount that they generate, but just the wrong idea. To stimulate the economy, you should not be raising taxes. So my concern, Neil, is that the next stimulus package may include infrastructure plus a bunch of tax increases.
Now, some have thought a package like that, an infrastructure package, Senator, would be the opportunity the administration has been waiting for to go ahead and commit to a campaign promise to raise corporate taxes back up to 28%. To raise the top rate, but this could go well beyond that. Do you know beyond that what it means?
Well, everything. I mean, they're talking about raising capital gains taxes. They're talking about raising the business tax, which has finally made us competitive around the world and resulted in a lot of investments in the United States that would not have otherwise occurred, therefore raising people's wages. Remember, a year ago, we were in a situation where our economy was growing pre-COVID. In fact, we had 19 straight months in February of last year of wage growth of over 3%. It was working. And the combination of all these things, what we did on the individual side, the small business side for pass-through companies, so-called, the big companies, the publicly traded corporations were doing better because America was getting more investment rather than losing investment, which was happening before that. So all that is up in the air now. And my concern is that when I talk to my colleagues on this side of the aisle, you know, there's sort of a wish list of things they'd like to get done as part of an infrastructure package that might not be traditional infrastructure. And then when we say, well, you got to pay for it, their way to pay for it is to raise taxes, which puts a crimp on the economy. So that's my concern. And frankly, I'm really discouraged by what we just saw with COVID-19. I mean, that's one area, as you know, Neil, where we have been totally nonpartisan, not just bipartisan, but nonpartisan. 5 times in the last year, we have passed COVID-19 bills with huge majorities, over 90 votes each. So it was an area where there should be total bipartisanship or nonpartisanship. And infrastructure used to be the same way. The notion is we could get together there because Republicans and Democrats both believe our infrastructure needs help. It's crumbling. It'll help the economy if done right. My concern is, once again, they're going to ignore the Republicans as they did this time around, do it under reconciliation and add taxes and add other projects that aren't really going to help the economy as much as pursue an agenda.
Well, I know you, Senator, have been concerned about deficits and all, but Republicans in general are hardly ones to point the finger on driving us into the red. A lot of red and a lot of more debt under President Trump, just as there was under President Obama, just as there was under President Bush. So I understand it's a bipartisan spending spree. But do you think Republicans are looking hypocritical, pointing at the expense of all of this?
Well, Neil, it's all relative, isn't it? And you're right, Republicans and Democrats alike have been responsible for increasing the spending. But it's always Democrats wanting to spend more than Republicans, always. And I can give you numerous examples, but one would be every year with the appropriations process. Another would be, obviously, their inability and disinterest in looking at the mandatory side of the ledger, which is where most of the spending now occurs. But also what happened in the COVID-19 bill. I mean, so much of this was spending. Again, more than half of this spending will not occur in this year based on the nonpartisan congressional budget office.
And to be fair to you, Senator, you have stood out as being a critic of that sort of thing, and I admire you for that. But I did want to get your take on what seems to be an internecine battle among Republicans, the president, and that is Donald Trump, and the cease and desist order to the Republican National Committee to quit using his name on behalf of candidates he says are essentially money to back rhinos. How did you feel about that?
Well, I think it's going to be tough to do a cease and desist. He was president of the United States, and people are going to be able to use his name in their There are solicitations, I'm sure, that many will, and he's very popular among the Republican base still. So I just don't know that really is realistic. But look, as a party, we have to get back to the policies, the issues where the American people generally agree with us, and this is why Republicans did quite well in 2020, except at the top. We did much better in the House.
You're not all on the same page, Senator, unfortunately, right? I mean, these battles that could flare up with you and the former president keep happening, and given the enmity between the president, of course, and the Senate leader, the Republican leader, you got to wonder whether Mitch McConnell, whether they're in a separate universe from the former president, and their backers are in a separate universe from him. I'm just wondering, where is this going? Are you worried about it?
Yeah, I guess I just have to, with all due respect, say that I disagree with you that it's about policy. Mitch McConnell and President Obama differed very little on policy, and still do differ very little. When you look at the tax reform and the tax cuts, the regulatory relief, the energy independence.
They don't
but
talk
my
to
point
each
is,
other, Senator.
it's not a policy debate. This is a personality issue, and it's driven by
But is it hurting your
style?
Do you think it's hurting your party?
Well, it has the potential to hurt the party. It already is making our party more divided. But my point is, let's get back to the policies. That's where we agree, and that's what the American people want us to focus on. That's our job as a party, is to help organize the democracy around certain ideas. You have the organizers on the left and the organizers on the right of our democracy, and we're the ones that should be saying, okay, the deficit does matter. Tax reform is important to drive jobs, and tax cuts hurt jobs. We're the ones that say energy independence is a good thing, not a bad thing. We're the ones that say we need a stronger military to keep the peace. So this battle between the former president over whether the RNC could use his name and all, and the RNC responding to that, getting testy, and the former president getting testy with the RNC, that can't be helpful, can it? I mean, to getting that I don't think
message
it is.
out?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And Neil, again, as I said, I don't know how you avoid using the president's name in a solicitation. I'm not one of those who is doing that, but I imagine many will, and I'm not sure those lawsuits would be successful because he was president, did a lot of things that Republicans felt strongly in favor of, as did a lot of Americans. I mean, the policy agenda was actually quite well received. And we saw that again in 2020. Think about it. 15 House seats picked up. No one thought we would pick up any seats in the House. In the Senate, we did better than expected. We had 3 state houses turned Republican. So, I mean, it really was, except for that last little race in Georgia, we almost got the majority in the Senate. But a lot of people thought, as you know, we had about 10 really tough seats on our side of the aisle. They had 1 on their side. They lost theirs.
Who do you blame for losing the Senate?
Well, with regard to Georgia, which is where it happened.
Mitch McConnell points to the president.
Well, I would tell you what the problem was. It was about turnout. I mean, when you look at the actual data coming out of that election, of the 5 congressional districts that had the worst turnout, 4 were strong Trump districts. So for whatever reason, those individuals didn't see the need to turn out and vote. And that blame can probably be shared, but that's the issue. In a special election, it's all about turnout, and we just didn't do it, despite the fact that in the general election, one of those candidates who would have been enough to win the majority, David Perdue, won by 2 points, and a Libertarian got 2 points. So we had better turnout then, and we've seen the results of it, which is a Democratic majority in the House, at the White House, a Democrat in charge, and a Democratic majority here, well, not a majority, but a 50-50, plus the tie vote. And it's changing the way our country operates. When you look at this COVID-19 bill, it's an unfortunate example of that.
All right. Senator Rob Portman, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Neil. Always great to be on with you, my friend.
Same here. The senator will not be running for re-election.